The silver bracelet Marcus Hayes had given Grace was no longer on her wrist. Instead, she wore the diamond ring Sage Sterling had given her, the paternity test report he clutched in his hand, its crumpled edges revealing the addendum Grace had written in red ink. Marcus Hayes. Have you ever counted the lights on the operating room ceiling? I have. There are exactly 13 of them, and each one shines down on the child you personally destroyed under the desk lamp. The blood-red words in the report's creases seemed to come alive. Crawling towards his trembling fingertips, Grace turned away, her face ashen. Marcus Hayes' best friend spoke up. Come on, Marcus, don't be like this. You two have been together for 10 years. You can't even stand to be apart. What's the point of this? Grace just had an abortion. She's not herself. You should comfort her. Chloe, nestled in Marcus Hayes' arms, instinctively touched her own belly and hesitated. Marcus, is this baby coming at the wrong time, making Grace upset? Should I get an abortion too? Chloe, don't be silly. This child is the crystallization of our love. Well, have him, and he'll be good to you, and our child for the rest of my life. As for Grace, she's pathetic. She's always upset, and can't leave me. Besides, she's used to having abortions, so you don't need to worry. Grace took a deep breath. Though she had decided to give up, she still found her decade of devotion laughable. He said the child was the crystallization of their love, but how long had they even known each other? If what they had was true love, then what did her 10 years count for? Grace walked out, then couldn't help but look back at Marcus Hayes. Marcus Hayes seemed to think she was unwilling to break up, and still wanted to cling to him. He raised an eyebrow and sneered. Don't try any tricks. I am definitely breaking up with you, but I know you can't live without me, so you can temporarily stay at my place, and take care of Chloe. I'll waive your rent. Oh, and Chloe is pregnant now. If I have any needs, you know what to do, right? As he finished speaking, a flicker of jealousy crossed Chloe's eyes. However, he immediately turned back to Chloe, speaking with utmost tenderness. Chloe, pregnancy is a big deal. Tell me if you feel unwell, and let Grace cook whatever you crave. She loves doing those doormat tasks anyway. If you don't boss her around, she'll feel unhappy. Grace looked at them coldly. I just wanted to tell you that I agree to the breakup. Marcus Hayes froze, then scoffed. You should have agreed a long time ago. You strung me along for years. Is your secret boyfriend outside unhappy? Bitterness welled up in Grace's heart. He was the one who cheated and had a child with someone else, yet he turned around and accused her of being unfaithful. A breakup is fine, but return all my belongings that you have first. Marcus Hayes released Chloe, stepped forward, and abruptly yanked the thin gold chain from Grace's neck. A red mark instantly appeared on her neck, though not deep. The sharp pain still brought tears to her eyes. This necklace had been a birthday gift from him when they first got together. Back then, he had solemnly promised that even though he couldn't give her a good life at the moment, he would one day. Then you can do whatever you want and never have to work for anyone again. 10 years had passed. He was 1,000 times richer than before. Yet he had completely forgotten his vows. Then, a dull ache shot through her wrist. He forcibly ripped off the small silver bracelets with a clatter, and threw them into the trash can. When they were first bought, she'd even needed hand cream to slide them on smoothly. But now, he snatched them without a word, leaving only a small red abrasion on her hand. It was then that Grace realized how much weight she had lost. Her self-preservation instinct made her step back and shout, Marcus Hayes, isn't that enough? What? You agree to break up, but not return my things? Are you going to take things I bought to your secret boyfriend? He's so rich, why would he care about my meager possessions? He only cares about this body of yours that I've used up. Pathetic, you two are just as pathetic. A burst of laughter erupted from the people nearby. Grace exhaled, wanting to make a final farewell, but Marcus Hayes had already pulled Chloe into his embrace, protecting her, fearing she might get cold or scared. Grace, remember this, I can break up with you, but you cannot agree. You'd better stay my obedient doormat for the rest of your life, or else neither of you will have a good end. Watching his retreating figure, Grace's eyes welled up. After everyone else left, she saw his best friend standing there, looking regretful. He took a band-aid from a bag and handed it to her, pointing at the red mark on her neck. Grace, I am really sorry. I don't know why Marcus suddenly became like this, but I am sure he still loves you. Grace felt a bit dazed. So many people had pursued her back then, yet she had chosen Marcus Hayes, who had nothing, It was precisely because his love was so passionate and unreserved. Surrounded by such love, she found it impossible to accept any other ordinary affection, but she never expected his deep love to be so fleeting. Soon after they got together, he began to change. Grace took the band-aid and casually stuffed it into her clothes. Suddenly, heavy rain poured down, and she couldn't hail a taxi. She was drenched, soaked to the bone, and collapsed by the roadside. When she woke up, she was in a hospital room. The smell of disinfectant filled her nostrils. When she moved her hand, a piercing pain shot through her. The young nurse, changing her dressing, sternly admonished her, "Don't move. Your hand will swell if the needle comes out." "Okay, thank you," the nurse chattered on. "You shouldn't be thanking me. You should be thanking your husband. But your husband is really something. On one hand, he's great, but you just had an abortion, and he didn't take good care of you, letting you get drenched and collapse by the roadside. On the other hand, when he was taking care of you, he was so careful, even changing your clothes, afraid of hurting you, husband." Grace abruptly looked up. Just then, footsteps sounded outside the door. The young nurse lifted her chin and hummed, "See? It's raining so hard outside, and he specifically went out to buy you something to eat." But the person who walked in wasn't Marcus Hayes, it was Uncle Sage, her non-blood related uncle, whom she hadn't seen in years. Grace lowered her head awkwardly. "He's not my husband, he's my uncle," the nurse grinned. "Mainly, he's so young and handsome, we got it wrong." Sage Sterling tenderly handed Grace a light, nourishing soup, its packaging clearly from a 5-star hotel. When he opened the lid, even though it was plain, it exuded the fragrant aroma of chicken broth. "Grace, if you're not happy, come abroad with me," Grace quietly said. "Uncle Sage, I am doing very well." "Then how could you have just had an abortion and collapsed by the roadside alone?" "If I hadn't happened to pass by, I can't imagine what would have happened to you." He raised his wrist to check the time, saying he had some matters to attend to, telling her to rest well, and that he would come back later. After he left, Grace ate a few spoonfuls of the soup, then couldn't help but burst into tears. In front of Marcus Hayes, she would constantly remind herself not to show any vulnerability. After all, he had said countless times that he hated women who cried. But in the quiet hospital room, looking at the soup and clean clothes Uncle Sage had left, Grace suddenly felt an unprecedented sense of grievance. Almost a full day had passed since she collapsed, yet Marcus Hayes hadn't called once. Meanwhile, his social media posts kept updating, one after another. He had taken Chloe to his parents' graves. He had also taken her to his hometown. After returning, he had ostentatiously held a banquet to celebrate her pregnancy. Then he took her to a wedding planning company, a bridal shop, and a jewelry store. Everything was to announce to the world that he had found true love, and was about to get married. In the comments section, one of Grace's friends posted a question, "Are you Marcus Hayes? Did I add the wrong person? Aren't you Grace's boyfriend? Did you two break up?" Her friend asked 2 questions in a row. Grace was about to privately message her friend to explain that she and Marcus Hayes had broken up, but then she saw Marcus Hayes reply, "I am Marcus Hayes, but my fiancée is Chloe. I never loved Grace. Just so you know." The phrase "never loved" hit her like a heavy hammer to the chest. After being discharged from the hospital, while Marcus Hayes and Chloe were busy with wedding preparations, Grace went to the Hayes residence to pack her things. She was startled when she opened the door. The house was a mess. Used tissues were scattered all over the floor, and the scent of a couple's intimacy still lingered. Entering the bedroom, Grace's clothes were casually tossed on the sofa, replaced by Chloe's pure white dresses and t-shirts, along with some newly purchased, freshly washed baby clothes. Her jewelry box was also missing. She could do without everything else, but the jewelry box contained a watch, her mother's keepsake. Grace opened the drawers and looked around, but didn't find it. Just then, Marcus Hayes and Chloe returned. Chloe's eyes gleamed with triumph, and she feigned surprise. "Grace, are you looking for something?" Marcus Hayes snorted. "I thought you were so principled you'd never come back home. Have someone move your clothes to the guest room. From now on, the master bedroom is for Chloe." Grace interrupted him. "I had a jewelry box here, have you seen it?" "What? You want to take it? All your jewelry was bought by me, you rarely wear it anyway, and I saw Chloe liked it, so I gave it all to her." Chloe quickly apologized. "I am sorry, I didn't know you still wanted it." "Grace, Marcus said your uncle has plenty of money, so you wouldn't care for these things. Plus, we're getting married soon, and there are a lot of expenses. so I just took them to be recycled. Marcus Hayes pinched her cheek. What a good girl, saving me money, but you don't have to do that in the future. Although I am not as rich as the Sterling family, my money and my love are clean. No matter how rich you are, we're spending a lifetime together, and there's a long way to go. So you still need to learn to be frugal. No wonder Marcus Hayes liked her. If Grace were a man, she'd probably like her too. Grace stammered, everything else is fine, but there was an old-fashioned watch in there. Please, Chloe, return it to me. You mean that quartz watch? That was the only watch in the whole box that nobody wanted. I thought it was worthless, old and broken, so I threw it away. Grace's ears buzzed. That was my mother's. Chloe, startled by Grace's fierce tone, reddened around the eyes. I am sorry, Grace. I didn't know, but it's been many days now. Even at the recycling center, it's probably impossible to get back. Grace took 2 steps forward, glaring fiercely at Chloe. How dare you throw away my things? Marcus Hayes, however, pushed Grace away. So what if it's thrown away? What can you do? If your mother hadn't remarried and brought you into the Sterling family, you wouldn't have met Sage Sterling, and I wouldn't have been cheated on for so long, right? It should have been thrown away a long time ago. Why are you yelling at Chloe? Apologize. She's pregnant now, she's not well, and her emotions are unstable. She can't handle being upset. Apologize. Kneel and apologize. The way he protected another woman made him feel like a stranger to Grace. She had been pregnant for him 13 times, and he had always dismissed it as just being pregnant. When had he ever been so careful with her emotions? It seemed the difference between loving and not loving was truly vast. This relationship had only left her physically and mentally exhausted in the end. Grace spoke with resignation. Marcus Hayes, I am just here to get my things. Let's not see each other again. Marcus Hayes paused for a second, then slapped Grace across the face. I told you, I can break up with you, but you cannot agree. Have you forgotten everything I said? Grace covered her stinging face, enduring the burning pain, and asked him what he wanted. You found your love now, and you're getting married. If you don't break up with me, do you want a threesome? Are you jealous? Marcus Hayes' face brightened with glee. Isn't a threesome good? You can also taste what it's like to be cheated on. You can experience how I've tolerated you and Sage Sterling all these years. Grace was baffled. Uncle Sage and I haven't seen each other for years. Why do you keep bringing him up? What does any of this have to do with him? Marcus Hayes froze. Haven't seen each other for years. When did your relationship become so above board? For some reason, Grace saw a hint of guilt in Chloe's eyes. However, before she could think about it further, she heard Marcus Hayes taunt. One is a niece, the other an uncle. How dare you speak so self-righteously about such incestuous relations? Back then, when her mother remarried into the Sterling family, Grace was brought along. She and Sage Sterling were close in age, and he always looked out for her. They studied together, ate together, and went to tutoring classes together. Later, when they went to college, he repeatedly and explicitly told her she couldn't date. When she asked why, he would say that men outside couldn't be trusted, that they might be after the Sterling family's wealth, with ill intentions. Later still, during one drunken night, he half-jokingly confessed his feelings. Grace was so scared she fled in panic. She quickly found an excuse to move out of the Sterling residence. Soon after, she met Marcus Hayes, who had nothing, and decided to have a normal, happy relationship with him. Sage Sterling left the country shortly after and hadn't returned for years. They hadn't kept in touch, but Grace never expected that his name would always follow her, no matter how well she did, no matter how much she loved Marcus Hayes. The mention of Sage Sterling's name rendered all her efforts pointless. Grace frowned, not wanting to argue anymore. If you don't believe me, nothing I say matters. Let's break up. I wish you happiness. Just as she was about to leave, Marcus Hayes instinctively blocked her path. Behind her, there was a commotion. Looking back, Chloe had fallen down the stairs. I wanted to go upstairs to get my favorite watch to give to Grace, but it's all my fault. I shouldn't have taken Grace's things, Marcus Hayes said heartbrokenly. Then don't go up and down the stairs by yourself. It's too dangerous. Just bear with it. It'll take you to the hospital. As he passed Grace, Marcus Hayes gave her a meaningful glance. You come along too. After all, Chloe got hurt trying to get something for you. Follow me. When Chloe's okay, you can apologize to her, and don't even think about running away. Otherwise, it'll make your and Sage Sterling's incestuous relations public. and we'll see if the Sterling family will want someone involved in incest as their heir. But when Grace followed, she found there was nowhere to sit. His car only had 2 seats, and the driver was off today. Take a taxi yourself, or walk. He'll wait for you at the hospital. If he's not there within an hour, he'll face the consequences. But the Hayes mansion was on a mountainside, and at this hour, there were no cars at all. Grace wanted to say more, but Marcus Hayes' car had already driven off. She knew he always followed through when anything involving Sage Sterling was concerned. To avoid implicating the Sterling family, Grace ran as if her life depended on it. She even broke a heel and chafed her feet. Within an hour, she arrived at the hospital's emergency room. Marcus Hayes looked at her bloody feet, wrinkling his nose in disgust. Go clean yourself up before you come in. Chloe, lying in the hospital bed, was pale but in high spirits. I am sorry, Grace. I really can't stand the smell of blood. Being pregnant always makes me want to vomit. Grace whispered, I've done what you asked. I hope you keep your promise. I am leaving. I won't disturb you too. Marcus Hayes, however, called out to her again, how dare you? Just then, his phone rang. After taking a call, his expression changed drastically, and he left the room in a hurry. Grace was about to leave when Chloe suddenly fell off the bed, screaming, Grace, you can't do this to me. I am carrying Marcus' baby. Grace watched as blood flowed from Chloe's lower body, and fumbled to press the call button. By the time the medical staff arrived, Marcus Hayes had also returned to the room. Chloe clutched Marcus Hayes' hand desperately. I know I shouldn't have tried to take you from Grace, but I am pregnant, and my baby is innocent. Why drag a child into adult matters? I already fell trying to get her something, and the baby didn't drop. Is she still not satisfied? My baby, I am in pain. Marcus Hayes' brows were deeply furrowed. He looked at Grace with disappointment. Are you really so determined to see me unhappy? Finally, I have someone who truly loves me, and is willing to bear my children, and you have to kill them, mother and child, before is satisfied. Grace was speechless. She tried to speak several times but ultimately remained silent. When the medical staff finished their work, and Marcus Hayes pushed Chloe out of the emergency room, his gaze towards Grace was colder than ever before. Did you know your uncle targeted me in business to get back at me, costing me a deal worth tens of millions? Grace was surprised, as in her impression, Sage Sterling was never someone who would act impulsively, or mix personal and professional matters, and now you're here, harming my woman and my child. You two really have a telepathic connection. Grace subconsciously wanted to explain, but then closed her mouth. She had already checked. There were no cameras in the room. Even if she told the truth to outsiders, it would just be desperate pleading in a situation where it was her word against his. Grace never believed Marcus Hayes would trust her. Why aren't you saying anything? Are you going to accuse Chloe of falling off the bed herself? She loves me so much, and giving birth to this child means she can marry me. No matter how much she hates you, she wouldn't joke around with this baby. Grace, it's truly disgusting. In his eyes, Grace was a disgusting wretch, and Chloe was an innocent, pure white lotus. A white lotus was kind and naive, incapable of framing others. I can barely look at your miserable face without wanting to throw up. Since he's so ungrateful and determined to torment me, I'll let you taste my wrath today. He kicked her in the abdomen, sending her flying 10 feet away. The excruciating pain in her stomach almost made her faint. Grace, I told you, I truly despise hypocrites like you and Sage Sterling. You engage in vile, depraved incestuous relations, yet you pretend to be refined and noble. You're clearly still obsessed with him, yet you act as if he deeply devoted to me. He wasn't finished. He stepped closer and stomped on Grace's hand, grinding his foot repeatedly with force. Does toying with me and watching me toss and turn for you give you a sense of accomplishment? Go tell your uncle that compared to him, I might have nothing, so I fear nothing. Grace cried and laughed at the same time, her expression terribly distorted. Marcus, please don't be angry. Let Grace go. Sage Sterling is someone we can't afford to provoke. Chloe sounded like she was trying to mediate, but everyone knew Marcus Hayes hated Sage Sterling the most, and he was stubborn and highly competitive. The more she said this, the angrier Marcus Hayes became. Sage Sterling. What's Sage Sterling? He's nothing. Everyone's afraid of him, but I am not. He's just a trash picker, isn't he? Grace's heart and body were numb with pain. She realized that the most painful thing in the world wasn't death, but having the person you loved mercilessly humiliate you repeatedly. She even thought that these 10 years had been a complete waste, all of it. After a long time, Grace finally looked up, her face pale, and scoffed, "Marcus Hayes, are you so inferior, compared to my uncle? So inferior that you feel you don't deserve to be loved?" Marcus Hayes' eyes turned red. The scene fell silent for a moment. Suddenly, someone shouted, "Look! Chloe's bleeding again." Marcus Hayes quickly turned back. Chloe's face was pale, as if enduring immense pain. "I am fine. Marcus, talk to Grace properly. I am fine, and I don't blame her." Marcus Hayes knelt down and half embraced her, comforting her. "You don't blame her because you're kind. I have nothing to say to her. She hurt you like this. I am definitely going to get justice for you." The doctor came over to examine Chloe, and immediately shook his head upon seeing the amount of bleeding. "The baby definitely can't be saved." Chloe burst into tears, looking as fragile as if she might break at any moment. Marcus Hayes was heartbroken. He swung his hand back and slapped Grace across the face again. "You can't have children yourself, so you want to kill Chloe's baby? How vicious can you be?" Grace opened her mouth in astonishment, but didn't know what to say. After all, it wasn't that she couldn't have children. It was that he wouldn't let her have children. She had undergone 13 abortions, each time enduring physical and mental anguish, yet he had never shown any sympathy, and now he was saying she couldn't have children. "Grace, I originally wanted to give you a chance, but not anymore. I want you to pay for my child's death. If you refuse me, I'll make your and Sage Sterling's affairs public." It was that trick again, and it always worked. Sage Sterling had been very good to Grace, never bothering her or forcing her into anything all these years. She couldn't let her personal affairs implicate him, or the Sterling family. So, Grace gathered her courage, and looked at Marcus Hayes. "Whatever you say, I agree, but you also have to promise me that this is the last time, okay? I've been with you for 10 years and had 13 abortions for you. Just consider it an act of kindness. After this, please let me go." Marcus Hayes paused for a second, then sneered, "Sage Sterling can't wait, can he? I guessed this day would come a long time ago. Fine, if you can endure it, I'll step aside and fulfill your twisted desires." Grace had mentally prepared herself, but when he brought her to the location, she still felt panicked. He had brought her to the city's largest black market, and pushed her directly onto the stage to be part of the auction. Any woman Marcus Hayes has slept with, even if she's damaged goods, there will be plenty of people in Bay Harbor who want a taste. If you can endure this, I'll let you go. He pulled out a certificate, stained with a bloody handprint, stating that from then on, Marcus Hayes and Grace would go their separate ways, never to interfere with each other again. He had been involved in illicit businesses since his teens, and prided himself on keeping his word. Grace carefully put away the certificate and said thank you, then she looked up and walked onto the auction stage. The people below murmured amongst themselves, their expressions varied. Marcus Hayes, holding a pale Chloe, sat in the center seat, waiting to see who would win. Grace, the auction item, oh my God, is Mr. Hayes serious? Grace has been with him for 10 years. So what if it's 10 years? It's her fault for being unfaithful. I heard Mr. Hayes got angry because he was cheated on. No way, she looks respectable, but she's really a homewrecker. Then I definitely have to bid for her, and see what she's like. A wave of lewd laughter followed. Just then, the door was kicked open. A group of black-clad bodyguards ushered a tightly wrapped man into the auction's only private box. All eyes were drawn to him. Who is that? He has more presence than Mr. Hayes. Could it be Sage Sterling? Marcus Hayes released Chloe, stood up, and rushed over to kick open the door to the box. The man inside scoffed. What's the meaning of this, Mr. Hayes? You can come, but I can't. It's you. Why can't it be me? I am bored today, so I came to join the fun. Is that forbidden? It was Julian Beaumont, the only son of the Beaumont family, a catering magnate. In recent years, the Beaumont family had kept a low profile, rarely making public appearances. It was difficult for ordinary people to even catch a glimpse of them, let alone interact with them. No one expected to see a Beaumont here. Although Marcus Hayes was a figure in Bay Harbor's underworld, he was still inferior. Compared to old families like the Beaumonts, he could only offer a reluctant, perfunctory apology before returning to his seat. At this point, the host announced the start of the auction. All the previous items went to Marcus Hayes, whether it was a Han Dynasty jade, or a Song Dynasty porcelain. Chloe is a scholar. She likes things with history and depth. I bought these to entertain her. If she's happy, the next baby will come even faster. I am eager to have a child, so please excuse me. He was wealthy and influential. With his words, no one dared to compete with him. Grace was confined in a cage on the stage, watching him lavish money on another woman. The happier he laughed, the more triumphant Chloe looked, and the more numb Grace's heart became. When the cloth covering the cage was finally pulled away, and everyone eagerly craned their necks to look at her, the host hadn't even spoken when Julian Beaumont's bodyguards took the lead. Initiate the humiliation bid. What? Everyone knew Marcus Hayes had brought Grace here to vent his anger, to humiliate her and get revenge. Julian Beaumont actually initiated the humiliation bid. Wasn't that clearly defying Marcus Hayes? Why would a Beaumont initiate the humiliation bid for this woman? Who knows? Maybe this woman is just hooking up with everyone and is sleeping with Julian Beaumont too. Marcus Hayes' face instantly changed, and he flew into a rage. Julian Beaumont, what do you mean? What do you intend to do with my woman if you bid for her? Do you like eating leftovers? Julian Beaumont, however, didn't get angry, and didn't even stand up. He simply gestured for someone to go on stage and untie Grace. Our Beaumont family has money, we spend it as we please. It's my freedom to bid for whomever I wish. Besides, Mr. Hayes, have you ever seen a man auction off his own woman? Only those low-class, incompetent men sell women. If Ms. Lynn had a past with you, Mr. Hayes, she certainly doesn't now, does she? Since she's presented as an item, if I bid for her and take her home, what concern is that of yours? Julian Beaumont's refined demeanor as a scion of an old family immediately overshadowed Marcus Hayes. Marcus Hayes looked at the weakened Grace and sneered. I thought Sage Sterling would come to save you. I never imagined you'd have so many secret boyfriends. Not even getting to Sage Sterling's turn. Since Mr. Beaumont likes you so much, go with him, and use all your skills in bed so Mr. Beaumont's money isn't wasted. In public, he portrayed her as a promiscuous, limitless woman. Everyone looked at Grace with strange eyes. Only Julian Beaumont seemed unfazed. He took off his jacket, and draped it over her, then led her away from the scene in front of everyone. Before they left, Grace heard Chloe's voice from behind. Forget it, Marcus. It's better if Grace goes with Mr. Beaumont. We even made a profit. Anyway, you still have me, and soon we'll have our baby. Get out. Marcus Hayes' mood was agitated. After that, Grace heard no more. Once in the car, Grace's whole body tensed up. Julian Beaumont gently said, Grace, don't be afraid. Sage Sterling asked me for help, to come and rescue you. After a moment of hesitation, Grace spoke. IVE caused him trouble. Julian Beaumont smiled. You two are really awkward. One wants to save you, but fears affecting your reputation, and the other, once saved, worries about causing trouble for the rescuer. Life is so short, just a few decades. Be brave, be honest, pursue what you want, lest you miss out. Grace choked back tears, unable to speak. After a long while, she spoke in a very low voice. I want to see Uncle Sage. Can I trouble you to take me? And one more thing, in these 10 years, I had 13 abortions for Marcus Hayes. Each time, I extracted amniotic fluid for paternity tests. Please deliver all those test reports to Marcus Hayes. Also, the 6th child was a termination. The baby already had hands and feet then. I preserved the child through special means at the hospital. Please find a way for Marcus Hayes to see it. I hope he never sleeps soundly for the rest of his life. After Grace left, Marcus Hayes, as if to prove he was no less than the Sterling or Beaumont families, spent a fortune buying Chloe a mansion, and took her on various trips. Major financial media outlets and entertainment social media accounts reported on the love story of this finance magnate, who had a background in the underworld. Mr. Hayes retired from his illicit businesses for Chloe, almost completely legitimizing all his enterprises. During their wedding preparations, Mr. Hayes and his beloved fiancée went together to a remote mountain retreat, their fingers intertwined, deeply in love. How envious I am of Chloe, in her early 20s. She has already reached the finish line that many strive for their entire lives. A month later, Marcus Hayes finally returned to the house where he used to live. Opening the door, he instinctively called out for Grace, but he immediately realized Grace was no longer there. He closed his mouth, somewhat disoriented, and walked upstairs. However, everything that belonged to her in the bedroom was gone. Even their couple's photo and Grace's large portrait, hanging on the wall, had vanished. Marcus Hayes frowned and called the housekeeper, asking where the things had gone. The housekeeper looked surprised. Didn't you know, sir? Didn't you tell us to throw them away? You said you were getting married soon, and it wasn't appropriate for Ms. Lynn's things to be here. When did I tell you to throw them away? Chloe said too. Marcus Hayes felt a lump in his throat, but he didn't know who to vent his anger on. He then remembered that Grace had been taken away by Julian Beaumont a month ago. After that, he had acted stubbornly, deliberately not paying attention to Grace's whereabouts. They had been together for 10 years, and he was convinced Grace would never truly break up with him. If she didn't love him deeply, why would she willingly have 13 abortions for him? But this time, why hadn't she contacted him for a month? Thinking of this, Marcus Hayes felt an indescribable uneasiness well up inside him. He frantically called someone to investigate Grace's whereabouts. Before his assistant could reply, the housekeeper's anxious voice came from downstairs. Sir, it's a package from Ms. Lynn. Marcus Hayes panicked and quickly went downstairs to get it. When he opened it, he found 13 paternity test reports. He had no idea Grace had extracted amniotic fluid for paternity tests every time she was pregnant. And every test result had been his biological child. Marcus Hayes' pupils dilated, but Chloe had said she had seen Grace meeting secretly with Sage Sterling more than once during college. And she had even found many surveillance videos, some even from 10 years ago. He just hadn't had the courage to look at them. But why were there these paternity test reports now? Grace must be lying. But the next second, he received a call. Julian Beaumont's voice on the other end was contemptuous. Marcus Hayes, do you dare come with me to the hospital? I'll show you something. Marcus Hayes had a premonition that what he was about to see would shock him, yet he had to face it. Despite preparing himself, when he saw the several-month-old infant's body preserved in medicinal fluid, he was so shocked he nearly collapsed. This is your child, Mr. Hayes. You should remember, shouldn't you? I know you might have doubts about those paternity test reports, but you can get another test done now. Marcus Hayes knew in his heart that he was wrong, but he still didn't dare to admit it. He remembered the first time Grace was pregnant. She had been so overjoyed to share the good news with him, but he, having learned of Sage Sterling's unusual feelings for Grace, had doubted the child was his. He personally took Grace to the hospital, telling her he didn't want children yet and hoped she'd be sensible, so he wouldn't have any future worries. The light in Grace's eyes extinguished then. A second time, a third time, she never asked why. Once, amidst her busy work schedule, she neglected her body. She thought it was just a simple hormonal imbalance. By the time she found out she was pregnant, she was already over 3 months along. For the first time, she proposed keeping the child, and so she went into hiding. For over a month, they didn't see each other. Marcus Hayes couldn't find her anywhere. Finally, Marcus Hayes faked an injury, tricked her into revealing herself, and forcibly subjected her to a termination. It must have been that child. The ringing phone jolted Marcus Hayes from his memories. From the other end, Chloe's voice chimed. Marcus, why aren't you back yet? I miss you. Didn't you say we wanted to have a child soon? Come back quickly. It's my ovulation day today. We could just. Chloe's voice was full of seduction. On any other day, Marcus Hayes would have been utterly captivated. But today, he interrupted her directly. Chloe, you said you had proof of Grace and Sage Sterling's secret meetings. Send it to me, now. Chloe guiltily asked, why the sudden interest? Didn't you say you were afraid it would be too disgusting to see? In truth, she had no such proof. She had merely stumbled upon Marcus Hayes' diary by chance, learned of his suspicions about Grace, and fabricated this whole story. Send it to me immediately. Chloe, giving in to despair, burst into tears. It's been so many years. How could I still find it? Didn't you say you didn't want it back then? Now that the evidence is lost, are you going to blame me? Marcus Hayes snorted coldly, instructed his bodyguards to keep an eye on her and not let her leave, then immediately rushed back. By the time he got home, Chloe was already pale with fear. She knew Marcus Hayes' methods all too well. Her years of deception had merely been opportunistic, taking advantage of the deep love, and even deeper misunderstandings between him and Grace. That's how she'd managed to exploit the situation. I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied to you. I don't have any evidence at all, but I only did it because I love you so much. I didn't want anyone else to take you. Marcus, please don't be angry. Let's have a baby, okay? Didn't you say you wanted a home, wanted a child? Marcus Hayes kicked her several feet away. have my child. Do you really think he worthy? On his way home, he had already thoroughly investigated who Chloe truly was. Not only had she been flaunting his name around, harming many people, but she had even been secretly associating with some wealthy, unsavory clients behind his back, just to earn a bit of money, to maintain her supposedly respectable lifestyle. When he saw the provocative photos of Chloe in bed, he couldn't believe that he had lost grace for a woman like her. Marcus Hayes sold Chloe into a discreet private club to work as a hostess. She lingered around different men every day. Marcus Hayes even specifically instructed them not to be gentle. Chloe likes things a little wilder in bed, so don't let her look down on you. Just like that, within a month, Chloe was sent to the hospital due to a rectal rupture. However, Grace was no longer aware of these events. She was in a small European country, preparing for her wedding. Sage Sterling had officially removed her from the Sterling family's registry. He also handed over the stewardship of the Sterling family. Ive spent many years abroad and acquired considerable assets, so don't worry, Sage Sterling said gently. You should have known all along that I am not some spoiled heir who can't survive without the family. On the wedding day, Marcus Hayes actually showed up. He stood below the stage, watching her and Sage Sterling, his face filled with disbelief. How can you two get married? Ye uncle and niece. This is incestuous relations. Grace, you can't marry him. Ye my fiancé. I know you're angry, but I realize I was wrong. Ive sent Chloe away too. Please come back with me. Grace smiled faintly, holding Sage Sterling's arm. Mr. Hayes, what kind of joke is that? My husband and I were childhood sweethearts. Why can't we get married? Besides, Mr. Hayes already has someone special in his heart. Why not just learn to be content with what you have? She had no intention of saying anything more to him. Marcus Hayes, Ive had enough of 10 years of entanglement with you. I don't love you, and I won't ever look back. You should leave now, otherwise my husband isn't someone you want to mess with. Sage Sterling had long been displeased with Marcus Hayes' actions. At this moment, his anger was palpable. Marcus Hayes, though this isn't Coastal City, and I don't have the Sterling family as backup, dealing with you would still be easy. Get out before I truly get angry. Don't ruin my wedding. Marcus Hayes' disruption of the wedding ultimately spread on social media, but no one spoke up for him, because everyone knew that in this relationship, she was the absolute victim, abandoned by everyone. This is your retribution. After the bodyguards escorted him out, the wedding continued. Sage Sterling quietly asked her if she still felt sad. She chuckled and shook her head. There's nothing to be sad about. I truly gave my best to that relationship. And even though I chose the wrong person, I still want to continue believing in love. Uncle Sage, let's not talk about insignificant people anymore. We need to go toast everyone. After a full day of festivities, the house became quiet once more. Her new life had truly begun.